Jerome says he's in his way.
Yeah.
If these get really bad, I'm gonna turn them off. The feedback was horrible earlier.
Oh.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the new school year. Hopefully, we have a great year this year and do great things. All right, we're calling the meeting to order at 6:30. Could we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll call Mr. Chowdhury,
Present.
Ms. Hall, Mr. Obaid, Ms. Ayash, Ms. Watson,
Present.
Mr. Major,
Present.
and I'm present. Resolution number 1, acceptance of agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Major,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Watson. Resolved that upon the recommendations of the superintendent, the Board of Education accepts and approves agenda with any additions or deletions. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? No? Motion passes, okay. So, board calendar updates. We have our COW meeting on the 24th at 6:30. Does that work for everybody? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah?
Yes.
All right, and then we have our regular board meeting in September at 6:30, and that usually works for everybody, because we have planned ahead. And then-
That's the 14th.
The 14th
Yeah.
at 6:30, yep. And then on September 28th is our September COW meeting at 6:30. Is that the time work for everybody? Yeah?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Chowdhury?
Yes.
All right. All right, moving on, board correspondence. Do we have any, Mr. Haji?
None at the moment. With board correspondence, not at the moment, no, sir.
Okay. Resolution number 2, approval of consent agenda items. Do I have a motion?
Shoket.
Mr. Chowdhury, seconded by Mr. Major. Resolved that upon the recommendations of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the following items under the consent agenda. And there's quite a few in there. Do we have any of the new hires in the audience today? Can you stand up and introduce yourselves and your position, please?
Hey, Bob, it's Tori Albon, the school coordinating specialist.
Take,
Iman Harf, director of people services.
welcome.
Wanda Hedmark, HR specialist.
Wendy Thornton, state and federal grant specialist.
Well, welcome to Hamtramck Public Schools, and we're glad to have you here. Thank you for joining us. All right. Have you guys all had a chance to look at the hires and everything on this resolution? Yeah. All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion passes. Next up, we have audience participation. This portion of the agenda is for citizens to address agenda items only to the board. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement and not respond at this time. The preceding officers will refer questions to the superintendent for research and response. All right, is this typically, is it?
Does it?
We don't have any on the agenda tonight, right?
Actually, there is.
All right, Ms. Coral? You're welcome.
Good evening and welcome back. We had a lovely July. I know that the work done here in central office is important to the district. Our district, like many others, has seen many new non-instructional central office positions created over the last several years. People have questions, obviously, because we don't know everything that goes on everywhere. My questions about these newer positions is, how are they supporting what happens in the classroom? And how are we measuring how effectively these positions support what happens in the classroom? Do these positions help foster a cooperative and open atmosphere that leads to student growth or better staff morale? And how are we measuring this? I don't often hear these questions asked when we get these new hires here by the board. I know because you trust your administration, but we've got questions. So I figured I might as well ask them myself, me. Because I think this is an important conversation to start. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on, resolution number 3, approval of invoices and check registers. Do I have a motion? I'll motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Watson. Resolved that the check registers for the period of June 9th, 2022 through July 13th, 2022 and July 14th, 2022 through August 10th, 2022 as enclosed be approved. Do we have any discussion? No? All right. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Approval of fund, resolution number 4, approval of foundation purchases. Do I have a motion? Anybody?
Yeah, motion.
Motion by Mr. Major,
Second.
second by Ms. Watson. Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the purchase of the Foundations Program material for Dickinson East Elementary School. Total cost not to exceed $26,226.18. So what exactly are we getting out of this?
Curriculum program
Yeah, same thing they
We
adapted
had
at Talbeda, right?
and Dickinson, and,
This is-
ECE.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Do you remember when the principal?
Yeah.
Chairman?
Yep. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion passes. Resolution number 5.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Question, sir, so I was looking through here, do we, and maybe, Ms. McBride, do we get rid of the old, business discussion section?
Oh yeah.
at
Did
some
we?
point?
I think it was, Ms. Ayash had it removed from the agenda prior and it just wasn't added back.
Got you, okay. So I can save my discussion till the end, I just
Okay.
didn't bring it up in the meeting.
I mean, unless you wanna
We can
do it
talk
now.
about, let's talk about it like how.
If there's something
let's-
you want added back to
Yeah.
the agenda, just let me know.
Let's talk about it like how,
Okay.
see if we want to add it back in.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Resolution number 5, appointment of MASB delegates. Do I have a motion?
All motion, but I'm not doing it.
Motion by Mr. Major.
Shokin.
Seconded by Mr. Chowdhury. Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby appoint, so Ms. Ayash does not want to be appointed or a delegate.
Okay.
Is anybody interested in doing this?
If you're not here, maybe you should get appointed.
That's usually
I
how it
did
works.
it, I did it this year, it's not, I mean,
Yeah.
it's, you can just go and vote and leave, or you can stay for any portion of the conference. This
Yeah.
is the first thing that happens, the first night, you did it before.
Yeah.
There it is.
I'm sorry.
And it could be a thing where multiple people go together, like we have done in the past also.
All right, so
That would be,
I would like to do it again, but with my schedule and my night shift work, it wouldn't really work for me. But if I mean we have no volunteers, I mean this is
Mr. Obey, how do you feel about, your MASB delegate?
When is it?
It's usually November.
Yeah. Yeah, I can do it.
Okay,
All right.
I can double check for the date.
It's
It's on
Thursday,
September
October
23rd,
20th.
President.
October 20th.
Oh, it's
October 20th. All right, resolved that the Board of Education does hereby appoint Mr. Obaid as a delegate to the Michigan Association of School Board Delegate Assembly, and I'll
I can
do
be
it.
alternate
You would-
if that's.
all right, and Ms. Watson as the alternate. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, approval of conference attendance. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Motion by Ms. Watson,
A second.
seconded by Mr. Major. Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the request of Craig Daniels, Recreation Director, to attend the National Recreation and Park Association Conference to be held in Phoenix, Arizona, September 19th through the 22nd. All right, so, Mr. Daniels,
Yes.
all right, we have a couple questions. So, what is the total cost for this trip?
Yeah, yes, man. $700 for the registration fee for the conference. Off the top of my head, the hotel cost, I haven't really dug deep into it because I haven't got approval yet from the board or flight costs. But I know the conference actual cost to attend is $700 as far as the registration fee to be in attendance.
Okay. So, with this conference, how is it benefiting our district, and how is it improving our recreation department for the future?
And it's a conference where you get thousands of recreation professionals throughout the country getting together to go over different strategies that's taking place in the recreation field. Give us opportunity to talk about the successes we had and what we can do, take from one community and do in our community, the failures we had that we learned from another community that they tried. To give us the opportunity I purchased a movie screen that we use movie in the park from the conference. I purchased, thought about getting the splash pad from attending the conference, and multiple different things that the conference benefit. Last year I didn't go, I wasn't comfortable. I've been going every year as a representative of the department since '06. So last for 14, 15 years, except for the COVID year. So I think it's beneficial. Do I think every session give you something? No, that wouldn't be honest to the board. Do I think for the most part you get something out of it? Yeah, I think it's beneficial to the district. Not just myself, but the district. But I won't promise you everything I go to over those days, I'm gonna bring something back.
Would you mind doing another report back?
Yeah,
Yeah,
To
in
us
October.
about what
Yeah.
goes down?
yeah,
Yeah.
we'd like a report.
Yeah, no problem.
And, I don't know, in future, for the future, just, try to see if you can not book, I guess you can't book unless we approve, but you can make reservations and you can get flight estimates. So we would like a price tag estimate with the resolution in the future.
That's fair, yeah. I mean, so this is something new, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I tried to
We
get
should
the
look at, we should look at that, if that's, to standardize that.
For
That's what we
everybody,
wanna,
yeah.
For all.
Mhm.
It's gonna be standard for all, not just
Yeah.
Craig.
Yeah.
So yeah, I tried to get approved in June, but it was too much on the agenda. So I don't know how much
Yeah.
flight costs gonna be
Right.
a month from now compared to when I tried in June to get it approved, so, I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions or?
So the October Cow, I will present,
Good.
I'll get all the stuff, and October Cow, definitely give you a presentation of what happened at the conference, good and bad.
All right.
So the whole package.
All right.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thanks.
Okay,
All right,
all right.
thank you.
Good luck.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion passes. Resolution number 7, approval of contract with the review. Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Major. And I'll second. Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the contract with the Hamtramck Review for the 2022-2023 year. Total contract amount of $71,800 as presented. Alright, so I have a couple questions about this. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I would like to table, resolution 7 and 8 for the cow meeting, because I want a detailed presentation of the services being provided, things that is being done, like what kind of media, press releases and things of that nature, you know, that each of the respective magazines have provided over the years. And how do you guys feel about that?
As long as that doesn't, you know, miss any necessary, you know, print deadlines or anything we needed, then I'm not opposed.
What do you think?
Yeah, if you want more details about it, and
So we'll vote in a couple weeks?
Yes.
Yeah, if they can present then.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Mr. John and
We had a
Sign
contract,
sheet.
just to be clear, but yeah.
yeah,
Um,
we just would like a more detailed
Let's
pres-
want to ask them if they're available then.
yeah, are you guys available for that?
What's the date of the cow?
It is
The
the 24th at 6:30. Yeah? Are you available?
that's fine.
All right.
Okay, thanks guys.
Thank you, guys. All right, we'll table 7 and 8. All right, reports to the board. Mr. El Hadi.
So those are just the PowerPoint slides that I'm presenting up here. Can we dim the lights, get some mood music going? Okay, so this is an overview of a couple of aspects of HR here at Hamtramck Public Schools. It's not a department with a lot of legacy. It's in its infancy, I'd like to say, and it's growing. We've been asking for grace, and I think that people have been kind enough to give us that over the time. And this aspect right now, we're going to look at the recruiting and hiring process overview at a 30,000-foot level kind of view, and really not get into the intricate details, but it gives you an idea and gives the audience an idea of how things work here. So I said the number here is 32, but it's been growing over the past couple of days since this slide's been updated. We put up virtual positions, for example, other teaching positions. Sometimes a teacher will have or an administrator will have a first grade teacher resign, and then they'll have somebody within the building that they'll move to that, so it won't necessarily be one for one, that kind of a change, so you'll end up having a fourth grade opening. So that posting needs to be set up, and that's where we work as a team and get that all up there. The first group that I'm looking at right now, as I said, as it fluctuates, the jobs are posted or filled. The administrative positions, we have an assistant principal for DE. Our interviews are on Friday. We've sent out emails to some of you guys, all of you guys respectively. We look for other participants in the panel, and I'll get to that later on. We have the ELD district facilitator. We're currently reviewing candidates for that one. The high school principal, I know that's a very big one. We have that tomorrow. Please, if you can join, we'd love to have you there. The athletic director position, I'm in the process of reviewing candidates as well. Then we have the finance manager business office. That first round interviews were completed on Monday, and then we are scheduling second round of interviews. We have the director of communications. That posting is going to go up soon.
I have a couple questions before you move on.
Okay.
All right, let's start with the EL district facilitator. What is this position the rationale behind it. Why do we need a EL district facilitator when we already have someone doing that job?
So, I'll put it to you this way, at the current, and I'd like Mr. Najee if you could jump in at any point. The EL district facilitator, we're looking at it as a person to be a lead for the EL department, because, Mr. Najee in his dual role, is, for lack of a better word, spread thin, trying to maintain that department. And we felt like at this point, it would be a good point to have someone, a designate lead. And so we are looking for a candidate that will be an equal or maybe a step above. So they will be, if you look at the hierarchy, they will be not so much the EL director, but a little bit just below so that they can keep that department running smoothly, as it has been over the years.
And the department's continually growing, and given our significant population in the district of EL students.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
for that position, how much are we paying?
We're looking at it to pay it at commensurate to experience and education.
So I just have a question for you. Since Mariana's been doing it for years and has done a really, really good job at it, you know, why can't she just be like promoted to that position instead of hiring a whole new candidate?
Well, it's the same position, it's not a higher position. So, given her supports and what she works on and supports, this person be taken on different.
Can we maybe try and have discussion about anybody's individual characteristics or qualifications in private?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll try to answer the best without, like Mr. Hadi mentioned, it's the secondary person that will support beneath me, but also this person would have to have certain qualifications as well within a certain capacity that's in the job description. You know, primarily it needs to be split as well. We need to have primary and secondary, so.
Actually, I have a question, Mr. Howard, and you might have more specific questions, but maybe this gets to the bigger idea issue, is can we get in the habit of, I don't think this is specifically spelled out in policy necessarily or guidelines, but it has generally been the practice to make sure that any suggested kind of change to the organizational chart or new role or new level of position gets brought through the committee process first, so that we have opportunity to, you know, not be surprised, you know, ask questions, understand rationale, exactly what Mr. Howland's trying to do now, you know, before it's too late, essentially, so that the board can be, you know, apprised, but also give valuable feedback. And then maybe respectfully ask that anything that's still in process right now that isn't, that hasn't been offered yet, you know, that's new, not for existing roles, principals, et cetera, that's new, be presented to us at the upcoming COW and allow for this maybe deeper discussion.
I agree. So yeah, moving forward, you know, just any positions that are in the admin department, reach out to the board and maybe have a open session meeting where we can discuss it, or
Is that
give
committee,
me-
is involved with the board, or is it all stakeholder, or
what is it, the
committee that decided to open discussion for any new role?
I was suggesting that we do that at our committee of the whole
Okay.
meetings, like so whenever there is an idea for a new position at any level, you know, that gets presented and explained and, you know, both for us and for the public, you know, to understand,
That's how it's supposed to be before, you know, discussion and we move it to the regular meeting.
yeah, and it's, you know, obviously there's some people are, you know, newer to, you know, their roles and I looked and it's not actually spelled out very clearly in any policy or anything, so we can look at doing that. you know, if you want also, but for now, I think at least we're talking about it now and it's helpful. Does that work for you, Mr. Nagy?
That's fine.
Okay. Cool.
If that's what the board
Alright.
wants, I respect that. We can,
Okay.
definitely.
So we'll continuing, so we already technically have an ELD facilitator, so this would be an addition? Or,
Correct. Yeah, so it would be an additional,
so we need 2 people to do that job?
yeah, because it's spread thin. Basically, one person doing that role, it's spread very thin.
Is
For the whole
director
district.
gone, essentially?
Yeah, and the fact that this is carrying on longer than I expected, serving this role, and then serving that role, so I don't want to give the EL department the short end of the stick and lose out on them keeping that momentum.
Do anybody else have any input? Because
I just
I
think that's one of those things that can be presented at the cow.
yeah,
Yeah.
so can we get that presented at the cow?
Sure.
So hold off on,
It fits in, anything new, that's new.
yeah.
New roles, not a replacement, just any new roles.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Alright, second question for you, Mr. Al-Hadi. The financial manager, business office, what's the justification for that and why do we need that?
I mean, that's another opening, we
For
should
the
discuss
cow.
that in the
Yeah,
co-op.
we could do it at the.
Yeah, so
that's
can
okay
we-
with you.
Can we put that athletic not the athletic director, the financial manager,
Communication.
and the communication, director of communication, and the ELD facilitator for the cow meeting, alright?
So I just wanna be clear, we're putting a pause on these?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Well, at least, I wouldn't offer anybody
Yeah.
anything until we've had a chance to understand the district's rationale.
okay, so am I not to move on interviews, or,
That's for you, can you guys maybe talk offline about the exact?
Yeah, I'll connect with you
Okay.
about that,
With Mr.
okay.
Nagy and we'll talk.
Alright. Continue, please.
okay. I just wanna make sure I'm written down. Okay. Alright, so, at this point, I'm looking into the building level, aspects instead of the administrative. But here are the teaching positions. It's not the numbers are always changing with regards to the elementary. Unfortunately, I just got a special education, resource room teacher, resigned, they got a position that was closer to their homes, and, that's always something, a factor that people weigh, when they choose, their next positions. The middle school math teacher is kind of a robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of a thing. Asked for a transfer. We were able to, make that happen for them, and they went on to the high school. So that was sorry for the pun, but simple math. And now we got an opening somewhere else, and we're going on and trying to fix that and get that going. As I said, the virtual teachers, 7 positions. Is that a fair number? Yeah, 7 positions. 3 elementary, 4 at the high school level. Middle high, yes. Middle high, each core subject. That's
If
what
I
we're
may
looking at.
add, internal candidates.
Yep, we're always starting with the internal, just so we're clear about that. And then the school psychologist, I just found out today we've contracted, so I'm very happy about that, and I think something that is a big relief considering our special ed director special services director has been playing school psychologist, and not just on TV, but, in real life. So, I just went over everybody's head. Okay, moving on. The paraprofessionals and lunch aid and recess aides, that's continual. So we leave that up there. We look for people to fill those positions. I'm sorry to say it like that, it's just high turnover. It's just the nature of the beast. So I'm gonna look at the hiring process, but in two levels. There's district level and then there's building level. So in the district levels, you're looking at people like directors, central office individuals, admin leaders, when I talk about like principals, assistant principals and the likes. On the building level, we're talking about the teachers, the paraprofessionals, your counselors, individuals like psychologists, social workers, resource room. There's a little bit of a difference there, or our newly created ASD hubs. There's a difference there because that it entails more work between the administrators in that building and our director of special education. So for our external candidates, they either apply through the Wayne Riso Frontline or the district website. A little side note, caveat that I want you guys to make note of. If you don't mind, Mr. Major, I'm going to use you as an example. Mr. Major was wondering why some of our jobs are still existing on the website. Wayne Riso has the tools to make them disappear on the timely manner, and it's not as easy as just closing it out on Frontline, and that effect shows right away on our website. Sometimes they linger, so I will see jobs that have been filled and they're still showing on our website. It is a process to clean up, and it is something that is definitely on our priority to get that cleaned up, because it's making us look like we're a district that has holes everywhere, and I know that that's not a good look. The interview process for external candidates is initial screening. I review the uploaded materials, whether it's their resume, the online applications. I'm always looking constantly to see if these individuals are putting in cover letters that show what they want out of our district or what they can present to our district. Then there's a phone screening. I go through that process of discussing things with them, few questions, and then I funnel it down to 3 candidates that I feel are strong enough. Let's just take, for example, I'm doing the Dickinson East AP position, right? That's a collaboration between me and the district and the Dickinson East principal, not just a choice by myself. I'm always looking to collaborate across the aisle with anybody to make these processes very transparent, very open, and very collaborative. For internal candidates, I'm looking for a letter of interest and an updated resume. There have been other districts that I've looked at to see what they're doing. You never want to reinvent the wheel. A lot of them actually are asking for the candidates to do a whole application. The application, if you guys have seen it, it's not a simple one. It's very lengthy, and I think that really puts it to the test to see if you really are serious about taking on that process. Again, the interview process is the screening, reviewing the certifications, resumes. Sometimes sit down in front of me, the candidate happens, which I've seen before, where they'll come up here and say, here's my letter of interest, and literally hand it to me. If not, then there's a phone screening, and then from there, we have, if we can, 3 internal candidates. We choose from those 3 to move up, because we try to look inside before we go outside to get the best talent. Going back to a district level process, after securing a committee from candidates on the day and time, I'll email it'll be either Ms. Norman or Ms. Hadwan now, emailing the board members to join the panel. We're looking now to add parents to our panels. We've had that, luckily, for our finance manager position. We had, I believe it was the finance manager position. Yes, no, it was not. It was another position. We were able to get a parent/employee. Ms. Ovaid, secretary from Dickinson East, sat in on an interview, so she played the dual role, which is a great thing to have. We secured parent representation. We know our community, it's sometimes a bit of a challenge, but we try to make that happen. We reach out to teachers to include them. Dickinson East, again, I like to use that as an example because it's very close. Friday, I reached out to 2 teachers, Ms. Maloney and Ms. Swords. They both declined, couldn't happen. I reached out to teachers for the high school, and then I think I have not gotten a response from one. And then Ms. Coral was kind enough to email and suggest someone. We emailed that individual and we're waiting a response from them. So we want those people, we want everybody to be there. Again, transparency is the key to our success. We bring in building level administrators, assistant principals, principals on that kind of level. And then we'll bring in directors and central office staff to fill out the whole panel. 1 or 2 here and there, we pick and, make sure that everybody's represented in some form or fashion.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
Would it be too much work, or would it be an issue if we can include like supplemental staff, like parapros or anybody, send out an invitation to?
Yeah, we've
see?
actually had paraprofessionals on a panel. Myra, weren't you on a panel not too long ago? At the end of your panel? Yep. So
Okay.
we do reach out.
Okay.
Again, you try to cast a wide net, bring in as many people as you can. Sometimes because of the summer, it's not an easy thing, and we go from there. And that's on a district level. When we go to interview steps for, also continuing on the district level positions, we create these packets. Mr. Obey, you recall being on a panel, the packets will sit right in front of you. There's resumes, cover letters, application, there's also Likert scale, and then I present the ground rules for interviews. There's no discussion between candidates, we'll take them one after another, moving them along. The scores are gathered, all candidates have completed their interviewing, they leave the premises, for lack of better words, and then we take their scores, I take their scores, or whoever is going to be facilitating, we take their scores, we take the scores from the panel members. And then the most thing that you want to know is that you want to have the data before the opinions. We don't let anybody have that discussion between candidates. We don't have that discussion until all scores are gathered, and that way you're not influenced one way or another changing your score. What you felt, that's where we go with the first time. And then we have that discussion. We look for 2 items, mostly out from everybody. We look for areas of strength, and then we also look for opportunities to grow. And people give their, input into what they saw in those candidates. On the building level process, bet you guys didn't think I would take this long, did you? On the building level process, we have a discussion with the administrators. We'll see what works for them, the date and time. I want to make sure that everybody knows here, administrators have the opportunity to view all their candidates that are on frontline. If they don't, or for some reason they're not seeing them, then they need to contact the department, and we will make sure that they have that. They can send me candidates and say, hey, I think this person's a great candidate, or I will send them candidates, and we work in that kind of manner, back and forth on what we need. 1st grade teacher, 5th grade teacher, And then we will set a panel. The members are given information on the panel. The panel is usually done by the administrator. They choose who they want on their panel because they'll tell you things like, okay, this person is a math teacher, but I used to have this counselor who used to be a math teacher. They know this very well, and they need that. So that's why they add that counselor to the panel. It's not always just this person that they want on their panel. There's rhyme and reason for who they choose for their panel, and I respect that. Again, we have that Likert scale, data before opinion. I can't reinforce that enough. Then I review with the administrator after conversation on the next steps. And that is it. Any questions anyone have?
I think
I
we'll
just,
have more for you in a couple weeks.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
For the items that we tabled, can you give us a more detailed report, I guess, on like what it's gonna cost the district, money-wise, and other things like why it's necessary, justifications for them? We'd like to know, if, what's funding these positions, things like that, okay?
Good question.
You mean like a funding source or?
A funding source,
Okay,
yeah.
funding source, okay. Any other things, detailed questions? No?
Thanks for presenting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have audience participation. Ms. Coral?
I will be fast. I've missed coming here speaking, so I had to do it.
Nice.
And then, I know you've all missed my voice. Okay, I have questions actually for Mr. Hetty, and I can ask him, but I also just want to point out for people who are listening, as I'm getting text messages about, oh, what about this position, what about this position? So I want to just, and it just maybe if you forgot to put them on the screen. Secondary vocal position, which was split between KMS and the high school. I believe that person left at the beginning of last year, so I don't think we've had that position. A music teacher at Dickinson East, who we also lost at the beginning of last year. Maybe I missed this, but Mr. Nezich retired
Yeah.
in the, in June, and so I don't think I saw a position posted, his science position open, so biology, right? And I know, I think there's been an interview on this, the climate and culture specialist at Horizon, so that's what I've gotten feedback so far, so I just, I'll throw that out there, that I might ask questions again later, but I want to put that out, because people are, my phone is blowing up right now, so thank you.
Yeah, can you make sure you follow up with Ms. Coral, Mr. Al-Hadi, and Mr. Naji?
Yeah.
Alright. Board, yes, can I?
Possible for me to approach?
Yeah. Did you fill out a sheet?
No, I
can do that.
did not.
Yeah, can you fill out a sheet?
Well, it could be real quick.
Give, can you talk first and then? fill
Yeah,
in
sure.
what you-
Fill, yep.
Thank you. I've been coming to these meetings for a while, and I've always noticed that we have a lack of diversity in our hiring process. And part of that is because you get what you look for. You have to recruit people of diverse backgrounds, educational experiences, but it doesn't seem like we are that kind of welcoming school district where these people all around us are losing teachers, and they decide to go to the suburbs as opposed to at least experiencing opportunities in Hamtramck. Also, I just hope when we're hiring these individuals that they're certified by the state of Michigan to be in the position that they're being paid to be in. And it happened to us last time, if I recall, with our superintendent. If you're supposed to have an administrative certification in order to hold certain positions, it can't be, well, they're working on it. Because at some point, everybody is working on something. The other thing I'm concerned with is the lack of diversity at our Tall Beta School. We got people on my side of town in the Fleming area, Hamtramck Housing Commission. They would love to benefit from going to a school that's quote unquote the most modern facility educationally in Hamtramck. But yet they can't get a bus ride to take them from one side of town to the other. But yet we spend money for those same kids to go to Kosciuszko in our middle school, 7 blocks from the housing projects, down Comer and turn on Fleming. Okay, that's 7 to 8 blocks that we can't provide transportation. And the kids on my side of town don't even call it Tall Beta. They have a different name for the school, and it is, quote unquote, the Yemen School. And that never should be in a city like Hamtramck, which receives federal funds. And to me, that's a form of discrimination. And I would be surprised what the state of Michigan would say about that. The other thing is that we have open, well, I call them outhouse school buildings for those young people over there, and we should be ashamed of ourselves that we can't figure this out, that separate is not equal. When you can use a lavatory, you can sometimes eat in the facility where you're supposed to be learning. That is not fair, and that's not sanitary for our kids. I had an issue last year about
30
our young
seconds.
people wearing flip-flops in school, and I thought that that was a federal mandate that you're not supposed to wear flip-flops, beach shoes, or shower shoes, especially in the halls of the academics when we might have an emergency and kids are going to be running everywhere, and the first people on the floor will be those in those types of shoes.
All right, sir. This is the time allocated.
One more point, and we're supposed to be concerned about kids, their safety. If you pull up to any one of these schools during the day, our elementary schools, you will see a number of kids who are not in car seats or booster seats, and the school district has not made any mention that cars kill more children every year than bullets. And so we need to get the message out to to the parents of these young people. And last thing about I'm kind of disappointed in our recreational department, because I'm offended when you come into Hamtramck and it'll say we won a league soccer championship, when in fact Hamtramck was known as Tennis Town. We won over 20 state championships in boys and girls tennis in this city, and we were ranked every year in the 60s and 70s internationally. Okay, so those are some things that we really seriously need to address in this city. And again, thank you.
Can you fill out a sheet so the superintendent can follow up with you on these concerns?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you mind hanging out till the end of the meeting, just to have a quick chat?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. Any additional board discussions?
Yeah, I got one.
All right.
We need to, as a board, to be active with events, either inside the districts or inside our community. We have to show our participating in all events. Last 2 weeks ago, I think we had something in our district. I didn't show up, nobody showed up. And we have other people, leaders of communities, visiting us, and it's not good to see, not to see the board being active in these events. So I think we suggest to be more participative.
Tomorrow.
And this is,
And thank you to the teachers and other volunteers for making that happen.
Yeah.
All right. Any?
Here you go. It's part of the job.
It was the painting of the high school, sorry,
Yes.
just recalled now. Which
no,
is
I mean, there is a lot of events.
prior to that, but that was the most recent one, correct?
All right. Any additional board discussion?
Can't remember what my earlier one was. I think it was just about the agenda structure.
Oh, it was about
The discussion point.
yeah. Okay. All right. Resolution number 9. Meeting adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Major.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Obaid. Resolved that the regular board meeting be adjourned at 7:18 p.m. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you everybody for joining us.
Thanks.
All right, you guys have a great day.